We are live. Let me just.
Yo, what up? What up? What up? We're back. Can I talk my ish? I ain't got no theme music, man, but man, we're back one more time, ladies and gentlemen. I'm introducing myself, Draze. Welcome to the program. What's up, partner?
Hey, what's up, man? How we living over there? How we living, brother?
Come on, man. I'll let you introduce yourself, man. You know what I mean?
Hey, this is the one and only Green. You can catch me at Twitter at Green Diggity, and keep up with all the right calls I make throughout now and eternity. You know what I'm saying?
Keep up with all the wrong calls he makes between now and eternity.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the new unbelievable podcast titled Can I Talk My Ish? Because
Unbelievable.
this is exactly what we do, right?
Yes.
I'm Draze, former athlete by way of middle school. He is actually a former D1 athlete, so
Yes.
you can
Yes.
take his opinion. And like I always say, I'm a professional ish talker, so this is the perfect marriage, man, for us to talk our ish. You know what I mean?
That's what's up, man. Hey, we got a great show lined up for you guys today. If you guys love sports the way we do, grab a seat, get you a beverage, and tune in. Let's lock in. We got a great setup, some cool guests who know their stuff, and it's gonna be love. So let's get it going.
Yo, let's start it off the way we always do, man. I need you to talk your ish. What are you sounding off about right now? What's moving you in the sports world, fam?
Man, I appreciate that. So let me go ahead and start. So I started off last week, bringing up the fact that I wanted to see who was going to take the bull by the horns as far as this new school, new age face of the league, right? And I was very interested to see how SGA responded, and most importantly, how Ant Edwards responded. The reason why it was more so Ant Edwards, just because of the record he has had towards one Devin Booker. He hasn't played well against the Suns in the past. They had just lost to the Suns before the playoffs started, and he didn't play well. And so I wanted to see how he was going to respond. And boy, did he ever. What a great performance he had. And this is the type of stuff that great all-time greats are made of, man. When they step up and answer the bell the way that he did. He was talking his ish towards Kevin Durant. I loved it. So now we just got to wait and see if he could keep it up.
I'm not mad. This is where I'm at. I'm sounding off. I got to do something legendary, sir. Okay?
Yeah.
I got to do something. I know this is only our second show, but I got to do something people are not going to be able to see very much.
Yeah.
I got to give it up to Green. Green was right. I was wrong. Green was right, and I was wrong. Jokic is the best player in the NBA. Okay? Listen, man, this guy is out of sight. Man. He's out of this world. No, man. I mean, family, we're going to be having some very interesting conversations.
I welcome them with open arms, bro. I welcome them. It's hard to really appreciate things in the moment as they're actually happening. But we're watching something special with this guy, man. We really are.
My God.
Yeah.
Did you see his stat line tonight, fam?
Yes. Yeah. And that was an off game offensively for the most part for him. You know what I'm saying? What can you say?
What can I say? I said he's the best player in the NBA. That's what I can say. Jeez. Not Giannis. Not Embiid.
No. He reigns in Denver, Colorado. Oh, no.
Not LeBron. Not Steph.
No.
Line them up. Knock them down.
The defending champ who's about to be 3-time MVP.
Fam, he just took that from me. For people who don't know, I was arguing that Jokic was not the best player in the NBA with Randy about 2 weeks ago, maybe. I'm giving it, I was wrong. So that's it. I'm sounding off. I'm a man. You know what I mean? If I see something, I'm gonna give it to you, boss. You know what I
Big
mean?
up to Jokic, man, for giving me one over my bro Draze, man. Good looking, yo.
Yes, sir. All right, man. Let's talk hoop, man.
Let's
What
do
are
it.
the?
We already on it.
Yeah, yeah. We just first games are done. We just had a couple of second games. What's the
Yeah.
top three things that you are kind of sounding off on with the
Yeah.
playoffs so far?
Man, it's very, very exciting, man. It's an exciting time of year. The playoffs just get going. The biggest thing that stood out to me, number one, would be James Harden and Russell Westbrook. When I watched game one the other day against the Dallas Mavericks, you could pull a lot of things away from that game. You could say, Luka and Kyrie didn't really get it going. The players for the role players of the Clippers were at home, so they played better. All these other things. Kawhi didn't play, so maybe the Mavericks came in a little too confident. What I took away was how great James Harden looked and how great Russell Westbrook looks coming off the bench and mastering his role of sixth man and bringing so much energy, and took on the assignment of guarding Kyrie. Now, you're not going to stop him, but the energy and just the way that he got after it, I think really showed well for the Clippers. And I don't expect it to hold that way throughout the duration, but it was a great statement to let everybody in the world know, hey, we're trying to win the championship. Second thing that stands out to me
Hold
right
on,
now.
I'm just jumping in with you, if you don't
Let's do
mind,
it.
man.
Yeah.
We're gonna do. I couldn't agree with you more. I couldn't
Okay.
agree with you more. I was shocked. I was like, you and I were talking last week, and I said the Clippers have enough.
Yeah.
Even without Kawhi, I said the Clippers have
You did
enough.
say that.
And I
Yes.
said James Harden needs to show up. Westbrook needs to be Westbrook.
Yep.
Paul George is already balling, and they showed up, right? They
did.
got enough. There's no
Yeah.
excuse.
Yeah.
At this point, they should win the series, right?
Yeah.
I just heard Kawhi is supposed to come back, possibly game two, but if I know them, they're probably gonna hold them another game, right? Because they thought they might
Yeah.
lose game one probably, and we're like, let's bring them game two. So
Right.
I'm assuming Kawhi comes back by game three. They got action, even if it's 1-1. Hey man, yeah.
This
They got
series is
action.
going 6 or 7. I would still take the Mavericks. I think they'll play better. But another thing that was crazy to me is how they had no answer for Zubac. Like, I didn't anticipate that coming into the series. He was a man amongst boys out there, and that is something that needs to be righted if they want to win this series quick, fast, and in a hurry.
He's a load. He's a complete load. And he was, I mean, like you said, they had no answers for him. Same exact thing. Okay.
Yes,
what
sir.
about?
Number two is something that's just really breaking my heart, to be honest with you. I just really feel for this kid, and it's Joel Embiid's health. Now, I'm on record coming in that I had the Knicks winning the series for several reasons. I just really love the way they play basketball as a team and their approach to the game. You don't know who's going to step up and have the big game. It's kind of like everybody can have theirs. And they have a lot of history of winning together. Well, the three with DiVincenzo, Josh Hart, Jalen Brunson. And OJ Anunoby had a lot of winning seasons over there in Toronto, and so it's just a lot of winning culture. But the thing that breaks my heart is Embiid seems to never be able to be right when it's most important during the playoffs. And, he's still a problem. They can't do nothing with him now, but you just see him dragging his legs around the court. He can't really react defensively the way he could, how he typically would. And I just really, really feel bad for him because I don't know if they can overcome this 2-0 deficit without 90 to 100% Joel Embiid.
Listen, let's be honest. He's not right. Yeah. But I want to big up Embiid for one thing. When the game was over, the type of leadership that I saw out of him, not on the court, I didn't like his face and his demeanor, but when he got to the locker room, he said, we're going to win this series. He said, we should be. Now, I don't know if it's right. If they do win, we'll look at that as a signature moment. I need my leader to do that. We went on the road. We lost those 2 games. He said we should be up 2-0, which, there's an argument there. I think it should be 1-1, but there's an argument to be made for 2-0. So I'm a big up for him for the leadership. But to your point, it's always something, and those guys,
Yeah,
it sucks. When there's a guy who there's always something, there's just always something. So,
it's always something. And before I move on to my last thing that's really stuck out to me in these early part of the playoffs, I want to big up Tyrese Maxey. He's really coming out and showing the world that he's a guy. You know what I'm saying? And so big up to
yeah.
him putting in the work. I love seeing that. But lastly, I want to give a big shout out to my guy Dame Lillard, man. I'm on record. I think the Pacers. I had the Pacers winning the series, and they very well still could. It's just one game. I don't want to overreact one way or another. But
Yep.
the way Damian Lillard came out and just made a statement, you know what I'm saying? That like, regular season is one thing, but this playoff life is a whole different story. And the way he was so explosive and scoring and pulling up, it just reminded you of how great of a player he's been and how great of a playoff performer he's been while stuck up in Portland, and not a lot of people have been able to see him. And to be able to get that type of performance early in a game, early in a series without Greek, I think was very important. And it let Tyrese Halliburton know, hey, there's levels to this. You know what I'm saying? Don't disrespect me, because before he was doing the Dame time when they had the Milwaukee's number
Mm-hmm.
earlier in the
Mm-hmm.
season. And so, just giving Pacers a taste of playoff basketball, and that's why we all watching. So I'm excited to see how the Pacers respond.
I'd like to say one thing.
Yeah.
Somebody on this program had the Bucks to win this series
Yes,
with
indeed. Yes, indeed.
or without Giannis.
Yes,
I
indeed.
said with or without Giannis, I got the
Yes, you
Bucks.
did. Yeah.
The Pacers have played shaky down the stretch with their full roster. They aren't the same team they were before the All-Star break. And
Yeah.
so to me, there's that. And then another sneaky thing that I feel like I noticed at some point during the season watching, the Bucks played really well without Giannis. It's kind of
Yeah.
weird. I've watched some games. I'm not the guy going, they're better without him. Don't start that nonsense, anyone.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
just saying I've watched him and been like, I watched a couple of games where Giannis wasn't playing, and I was like, they play good. I'm not saying they're amazing. I just go, they play.
Yeah.
To me, they play well enough to beat the Pacers, right? So
Yeah.
that was my thought. It ain't over. There's a lot to go. I hope that they're able to get past the Pacers. I want them to take their time and get Giannis healthy. Don't rush him back. I don't want any of our guys rushed back. I want Kawhi right. I want Giannis right, or don't be out there. I don't want to see them doing what Embiid's doing. And certainly my fear for Giannis is the KD thing. You know what I mean? What happened with KD just because of the injury. I'm not going to sound off on 3. I'm just going to say one that we have to talk about.
Yeah.
I got to get something from you. What is your take on what just happened with these LA Lakers? I mean,
man, listen, the Nuggets are extremely tough. And the reason being is because, A, you have no answer for Jokic, right? And then Jamal Murray is a problem. Michael Porter doesn't miss. And they're going to defend, and they're going to be relentless, right? And so every possession matters. There was really nothing wrong with what the Lakers did today. D'Angelo Russell played well. Anthony Davis attacked Jokic the way you wanted him to. LeBron James played well, facilitated, ran the offense, and got people good looks. I mean, you were up for majority of the game. It's just that championship mentality and that championship pedigree that is going to be very tough to beat this Nuggets team, no matter who you are. And so the Lakers got to lick their wounds. They got to go back home and try to make this a 2-1 series, because they can't go down 3-0 again.
This ain't. I'm gonna be honest with you. Let's talk, people. This ain't that easy, man. What you just said. This is not just licking your wounds, man. They've lost 10 straight, fam.
Yeah.
10.
Yeah.
And you guys got to talk to me about him being a GOAT. GOATs don't lose 10 straight to nobody. 10 straight?
Yeah.
No.
I mean, that's a whole different conversation.
I know.
That's a whole different conversation.
But it's an insert. It's still 10 straight, fam.
You could look at it how you want to look at it. You know what I'm saying? Honestly, if I wanted to sit here and rebuttal you and we had more time, I would go dive into why the 10 straight has happened. LeBron James clearly, like, there was a play today, right? As well as he played, right? But it made me laugh. he got a steal, right? And Jamal Murray, of all people, was chasing him down. And LeBron, with all his might, got up there to try to dunk the ball, and he could barely dunk the ball. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's just still a shell of his old self. He's given everything he can. You have a guy who's an all-time great in his prime. We've seen that happen time and time before in the history of the game. When you're an all-time great in your prime, go ahead.
I'm not asking for a bag full of excuses, man. All I said is you can't get, listen, the man got swept last year, right?
He did, yes.
Swept. And
yes.
You guys say, well, he got swept. You can't get swept. That's first off. But you got swept, and you guys told me, well, he got swept by the champs. As if that made it better. And I'm like, you know who else Denver swept last year? No one.
Yeah.
No one. Everybody else got a W.
Right.
No one.
I think so.
No.
Our conversation last week, I never once said he was the GOAT. So I want to make this clear to all of our viewers and listeners.
That is true. That is true.
You're taking an opportunistic time to bring up a situation, which is fine. If we're going to talk about no. If we're going to talk about LeBron and his placement all time, we could have a conversation there, and I'll lay out the ways of where I have him at. But I've never once said LeBron was the GOAT. I said if he did X, Y, and Z, then we have to have a discussion about certain things, right? And you shot that down, right? And then we had a conversation about that. As of right now, he's not doing X, Y, and Z. And up until this point, you've never heard me say he was the GOAT, right? Now,
I agree.
There's a plethora of people that you have in front of him that I think is ridiculous, but that's a different story. But as far as the GOAT, people, don't let Doomy fool you. I've never said LeBron was the GOAT, right? I have him number 2.
I just wanted to jab you, man. It felt good.
No, it's good. But we got viewers here, so it's important that we don't lie to the viewers. Because I might see these people at Popeyes. I might see them at the gas station, you know?
This is not about LeBron and Michael Jordan at all. That discussion is over, which I said last week. I was jabbing you on behalf of one Kobe Bean Bryant. You know what I mean? But anyways, to the point.
But you said GOAT, though. You said GOAT.
I know. I said GOAT, but I said I was jabbing you on behalf of Kobe Bean Bryant. Because you guys, you had LeBron ahead of Kobe. Let's not do it. Let's get back. Yeah, it doesn't matter. I was making a jab. The point is, when it comes to, in all seriousness and fun, I don't know how the Lakers win this series.
Right. Yeah.
After a loss like that, it's so tough. LeBron played exceptional. He needed that game, considering last game, to me, he had a horrible fourth quarter. So
he doesn't need anything.
Jesus, man. Can we?
I'm just saying. Just talk about the Lakers.
I'm sorry. No. He needs to get a win.
Anything.
He does.
Well, no. The Lakers need to get a win. Yes. LeBron doesn't need anything.
Oh, he needs a ring.
No, he does not need anything.
He does.
No,
he needs.
No, he
why
does
do you
not.
think? I'm sorry. Why do you think he's still playing? Because he needs something.
No, he's still playing because he wants to keep winning champions. He doesn't need. If he hung it up today, there's a poll that came out just today.
Okay,
with players who are talking about who is the GOAT of all time. Michael Jordan, who's my GOAT, had 45% of the vote. You know who had the second most at 42%? Was LeBron James. So that means he hasn't, if he hung it up right now, there's plenty of people who respect him for what he's done and where he's at, right? Now, for people who want to sit up here and nitpick and say he needs to do this, needs to do that, hey, have at it. Hey, knock yourself out. You know what I'm saying? But I assure you, if he just said right now, I don't want to play anymore, he doesn't need to do anything.
Yes, he does. Okay.
That's fine.
I got you. He's here because he needs to win a championship, and he knows
he does
it.
Not. No,
if he sits down,
he wants to win a championship.
No,
he doesn't need to.
No, he needs it.
There's people in these playoffs who need to win championships. No. LeBron James is not one of them.
He is.
He's not one.
He is. He is. We'll agree to disagree, as usual.
We'll do that. Yeah.
But my point is, LeBron James played exceptional, and for them to win I don't think he can play much better. And so
Right.
Anthony Davis played really well.
He played
I don't
amazing.
know how much better he can play.
Mm-hmm.
D'Angelo Russell played well. I know he
Mm-hmm.
can't play much better. And
Right.
so for the Lakers to win, I'm going to tell you what needs to happen. In order to
Mm-hmm.
win this series, it's Anthony Davis. The best player on their team is Anthony Davis. And for them to win this, to beat Denver, Anthony has to carry what he did in the first half into the second half. It just,
Mm-hmm.
the level of play just dropped enough to the point where it was like, at the end of the game, he needed to close, and he
Uh-huh.
didn't close. He needed to close, and he didn't close. I will tell you one thing that someone told me that we both respect when I talked to them after the game is they said one of the big issues with the game was LeBron James. And
Mm-hmm.
what they said was, matter of fact, I'll credit my guy Snow. Snow said it. He said
Mm-hmm.
LeBron James actually slowing the game down ruined things. He's like, from a basketball level. I'll let him
Mm-hmm.
come on and tell it. But he said, as he slowed the game down, he said he thinks that just broke their momentum. And I'm like, yeah, he did slow the game down. And he was doing that because he was tired. But at the end of
Mm-hmm.
the day, it just hurt the team. But my point was just simply for the Lakers to win. I don't know what I think Anthony Davis has to play consistently better for the entire second half.
I think that's fair. Your opinion and Snow's opinion. I just don't think it's realistic. I think I disagree on the
That's
best player
true.
on the team and the approach, right? I think there's not much more I could ask of Anthony Davis respectfully. If you look at Jokic, he didn't close the game. You know what I'm saying? Like Michael Porter hit big shots, and then Jamal Murray just took over. They're gonna have to figure out rotations where they can get stops. Like they weren't able to get stops late in the game. And if you're gonna ask LeBron and AD to play as well as they played, they're going to get fatigued. And so you're going to have somebody, whether it's Vanderbilt coming back, come in and be a big time stopper. We was hoping Gabe Vincent would come in and be able to get stops. They weren't able to stop anybody. So if they want to get back into the series, I think it's going to come from a rotational guy being able to come in and hound and get stops from the perimeter guys, not giving Michael Porter wide open threes where he could hit daggers. That loose ball was huge. Or coming in and just slowing Jamal Murray down. Have him miss 1 to 2 shots. That changes the game. But even that is a tall.
Let me ask you a question. How much did Anthony Davis have in the first half?
I want to say 24, 25.
He ended up with 32. I'm sorry. It's got to be more than that. It has to be. The team you're up 20 points. Your job as Anthony Davis, when I say closes, don't let them walk you down. You don't let no team walk you down when you're up 20. When you're Anthony Davis, I'm saying at some point you slow or stop the bleeding. When it gets from 20 down to 16 or down to 14, you give yourself a bucket. I'm simply saying Anthony Davis has to play better longer to think that the others are going to be able to be the ones to do it. No, when the others played solid, It wasn't you can't ask all 12 guys to play amazing,
No,
right?
no, but I also think I hear you, and I think you're fair, right? I'm just saying realistically, I look at the fact that he came out and had a great first half, and for a majority of the game, he was defending and did a really good job on somebody that we both recognize as being the best player in the NBA who outweighs him. So just the physical toll that's taking on him, right, is going to be a lot.
None of that. I don't do none of that.
Right?
No.
You don't have to. And this is my opinion. That's why I was talking, right? You cut me off. So for me, in my opinion, I think that AD can guard Jokic, right, who's at a disadvantage physically, as well as he was 8 for 10, 9 for 11. That just doesn't happen in the NBA. Like to think that he could play better than that is going to be tough. If Jackson Hayes could come in and take minutes,
I didn't ask him to play better than that. I didn't.
Yeah, but I was getting to my next point. If Jackson Hayes could come in and take minutes with guarding Jokic, because right now they're doing a lot of LeBron and Rui, who's even more at a disadvantage, right? And so if you had another big who could come in and spell AD to where he could just focus offensively, I think that would bode well for him. But to think that there's anybody in this NBA, right, who can put up the type of minutes defensively against Jokic as well as be money towards the end of the game, I think is sadly mistaken. So I think that's a lot to ask for AD. That's just my opinion.
This is the only place where I have a problem with what you're saying, right? And then I'm sorry, we can move on. I know this went way too long. The only place I have a challenge and a problem with what you're saying is that, don't get me wrong, I think Jokic is the best player in the NBA. I do not think that people can. There's a bunch of guys. Embiid will give him fits healthy. Giannis will give him fits healthy. And so will Anthony Davis, which we saw in the first half, give him fits. Jokic can't guard them. So my point is simply, and I'm not asking Anthony Davis necessarily to do the exact thing he did in the first half. I'm saying you have to have a level of consistency throughout, especially in the fourth quarter. I don't like the excuse of, well, I'm guarding you on this end. Jokic is guarding you on the other end. Get in shape, man. Why is it okay for Jokic? Why I'm just saying, why is it if Jokic is guarding you and then coming back on the other end and scoring, doing the exact same thing, why are you out of breath, but Jokic is not?
No, Jokic was out of breath. That's why Jokic didn't lead him to the win. It was Jamal Murray. Well, if Jokic was hitting the game-winning shots, if Jokic was hitting the game-winning shots down the stretch that Jamal Murray was hitting tonight, you'd have me, right? But Jokic was out of gas too, so he deferred to Jamal Murray, who took them home.
Okay,
so he was just out of gas.
I'm sorry. Listen, when I say you're misunderstanding what I mean by closer. When I'm talking about closing, right? Jokic was a factor throughout the entire second half. Period. Right? Yeah. So we know he's a factor in the first half. He's a factor throughout the entire second half. My point is Anthony Davis was not. I don't want to get caught up on who took the game-winning shot. That's not my point. My point is when they were walking them down, that was Jokic. That was Jokic leading that. Jamal Murray was struggling.
No.
Listen.
Fourth quarter was Jamal Murray.
I said walking when they were down 20, they were down in the third, fam. They were down 20 points. I said you're walking them down. That was Jokic leading all of that. I'm talking about Anthony Davis. Where are you throughout the third and the fourth? The point is, it's not a one-quarter thing. I don't want you to get caught up on the fourth. I'm talking about you're up 20. What the Lakers need. I'm not saying Anthony Davis needs to do exactly what he did in the first half. I'm saying you got to give me more than 8 points in the second half.
I'm with you. But listen, all I'm saying is Jokic only had 22 points himself, right? And so they were guarding and busting their ass. Jokic was doing a great job hitting the glass, trying to stay in front of AD, and AD was lighting them up. They were both gassed. In the fourth quarter, LeBron took over, right? And then he missed the last shot. Jamal Murray took over. He made the last shot, right?
Jokic had 27.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good game. And he didn't have a whole.
He didn't have a good.
I'm saying and he didn't have a whole. But when I say it's everything, it's everything Jokic was doing on the offensive end. Everything he was doing on the offensive end. Everything. He's bringing the ball up the floor.
But that's what he does, though. That's why I was telling you he's the best player.
All I'm saying to you is Anthony Davis needs to do what he does. Anthony disappeared.
The difference is, okay, let me school you a little bit. The difference is the person who I want to initiate for Denver is Jokic, right? To get Michael Porter, KCP easy looks, to get Jamal Murray off the body rub action coming off. I'm not taking the ball out of LeBron's hands and putting it in Anthony Davis's hands to bring the ball up or to initiate.
I'm not asking that. I'm not asking that.
Well, I don't understand.
I said I want Anthony Davis to do what he does. It's not about being Jokic. Dominate the game offensively, and the same way you did in the first half. He dominated the game. He wasn't bringing the ball up in the first half, right? He was dominating it. They were isolating him. He's getting the ball in the post. There was nothing anybody could do with him. I'm saying, Anthony, do what you do. consistently. You can't disappear. Anthony Davis's bigger problem, not just this year, but going back to last year and the year before. Anthony's problem is he balls out, then he just disappears. The only point I'm making, Randy, I'm not knocking anything. The only point I was making is for the Lakers to win, Anthony has to be consistent. And the drop off, we get so caught up in the fact that he balled out in the first half, and it was amazing that it's hard to blame him. But I'm saying when you look at the end of the game, I look and I go, well, what happened? Bron can't play no better. Bron played exceptional. D'Angelo can't play no better. We can't expect all of the role players to get amazing. Somebody's going to have some bad games. Who do we count on? Who do we need to be consistent? Jokic. But to me, Jokic dominated this game. He was a major factor in this game. Throughout, especially
he's
the
best
second
player.
half.
To say that AD was 9 for 12 in the first half, to think that he's going to carry that throughout an entire game is not realistic.
I'm not asking that. That's where you're missing it. I'm not asking that. I'm saying it doesn't have to be. I said what he did was all world, okay? He was a 10. And then he came down to like a freaking 2. Just get up to a 6. You don't have to be that.
2. He did a really good job defending Jokic.
No, he didn't in the second half.
He did
he
do a
great.
good. I mean,
no,
listen,
he did. First half, he did a great job.
Jokic. You're not. He's doing a good job defending him.
No, in the second half, Jokic was much more effective. Okay, the Lakers made an adjustment and went to that pick and roll, and then Denver adjusted to it. Right? Denver made an adjustment offensively. Right? Lakers didn't adjust. Nothing happened in the second half. Jokic didn't have a good first half offensively.
Yeah, because he was being okay. I digress. We'll be here all night.
We will. All right, let's move on, man. Enough of this. God, I should have never.
That was your fault. That was all you. I ain't about to let you take a
jab and
just keep it pushing.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are moving on right now. It is time to do something that we have been excited about and excited to do. It is officially draft week coming up. And as it's draft week, you see I got on my Seattle Seahawks. I'm representing. Yeah. SCA in the building, baby. Ask about me, man. Hot game. You know what I mean? So we got what we're going to do on this show, you'll see us from time to time bring on a panelist of Seahawks, insiders, fans, people that we love straight from the streets to come talk they ish. And so without further ado, I would like to introduce our panel. Come to the stage. We got our guy, Derek Wheeler-Smith and Kev in the building. Where y'all at?
How's it going? What's up?
Yay!
Okay, I was gonna say, like,
we got Smitty in the building. Hey!
What's happening? What's up with it, fellas?
What's
going on?
Man? What's up?
Hey, there's a whole lot of Seahawks love. Seattle's in the building, baby.
Hey, C-Town, Duo 206, baby.
All day, every day.
got it.
Yes, sir.
Hey, we want to thank both of you guys for coming on the show, joining us, giving us your 2 or 3 cents. Man, it's going to be exciting to have you guys and have you guys talk to our audience and let them hear you guys for the first time. So I'm going to just open some questions up to the panel. First thing, we're talking nothing but Seahawks in this moment. I want to ask you guys, and I'll start with you, Kev. How do you feel about Picturegate? We just going to start like right there. How are you feeling about Picturegate with the Seahawks?
I mean, I think it's a whole lot about not that big of a deal. Listening to, John might be covering his tracks a little, but it sounds like it's more or less one hallway. And when you get a new teacher coming into a classroom, they don't leave the old person's things around. When you get new anything kind of coming in, like, the new person got to put their stamp. It's not like the Lombardi trophies leaving the trophy case. It's not like the banners are coming down. It's not like we as fans, I put it on the background to represent, you know what I'm saying? It's not like we forgetting this stuff. It's funny. I was on the radio. I was listening to the radio today and they brought up a Mike Bennett interview from a couple months ago. And Mike B was like 12s. Y'all got to let us go, man. You got to let us go. That was straight out of that man's mouth. So like, I don't know, man. Like, I don't think it's that big of a deal. We need the new era to do their thing. I'm sure they'll be, up all over the place. That one hallway, it's not the end of the world is my take.
Smitty, what you think?
Yeah, man, my bad. My AOL dial-up's tripping. But you know, I'm kind of taking a wait and see approach. I'm feeling what Kev is saying. I feel like, you know, they said they plan to honor the history with kind of a new video board and that they're going to rotate kind of current and past photos. So I feel like folks are kind of jumping the gun, maybe without maybe having the you know, the full picture, right, of just kind of their plan to still honor the historical narrative. I'm thinking about, you know, culture matters. I'm going back to my wife and I taking over at Cleveland, and them walls was white, brother. There was nothing to show. And I'm like, man, the team of the century played here. Carl Urban, Juwan Oldham. I'm like, those jerseys should be retired. So we work with the admin because history matters, man. You know, and we needed the kids to know that's possible to happen here, man, on 15th and Lucille. So, you know, I think we give it a little bit of time, see kind of how it plays out. But, you know, I think if these boys falter, there's definitely going to be some problems. The first game, man. I mean, because you've already heard from the Sherms and even Robert Turbin, you know, Dre's your favorite Seahawk running back of all times. Robert Turbin, man, got in the mix today, man, with some comments, right? So everybody's kind of chiming in. So you could tell, man, if there's one thing somebody who's worked hard to lay legacy can't handle, it's having their name erased, man. So first falter, man, and yeah, it's gonna be all bad.
Green, what are you thinking, man?
I mean, you know me, we've talked a lot, man. I think the new regime should do everything he can to just like get some of that Pete Carroll gunk out of the crevices of the halls and be like, yo, man, we've got to start this thing from the ground up, man. And I actually appreciate that this guy had the audacity to establish what his vision. You know, it's not easy to do that. He's not worried about stepping on toes. He's not worried about rubbing people the wrong way. He believes in what he's teaching. He believes in his vision. He believes in what he's building. And I respect that. And I think the Seahawks need that so much. I think what we did have was special, but that was a while ago. And it started to deteriorate. And we got in a brilliant mind. And I'm of the mindset, until he shows me otherwise, I'm a support dude. I think he's on to something. Every time I hear him interview and how he talks about his schemes and what he wants and how he wants to play, I'm with it. And so if he wants to go ahead and let these guys know, hey, you guys haven't done anything, we need to figure this thing out, I can respect it. And so I'm with D a little bit and Kev that, you know, I don't think it's much of a big deal, and I have a wait and see approach as well.
He's definitely got stones.
Yeah. Yeah. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Listen, I love him. I'm a fan. I'm going to ride with him. I just disagree with the move. I'm sorry. It's the one move I'm like, yo, fam, this was your first misstep. I don't like this move. Sorry. And you know what? John tried to clean it up with this whole virtual wall we're going to do thing. And I caught it because your first thing in your interview, John, was, well, we did it because we wanted to forge our own legacy. Okay, well, then you forge your own, but you're going with a virtual wall, so you are going to put them back up? Which one is it, John? This is small. I see it. They got a little more kickback than they thought they would from the fans. They didn't know how it would bother them. They're cleaning it up. I'm all good with them putting everything up. I don't like that because to me, the wall and the memory ain't got anything to do with it. It's not about the Legion of Boom or Pete Carroll. It's about our history as a whole, right? And so for me, I'm like, and then when you start talking about the Lombardi Trophy and the photo, I mean, I'm just with that. But then what do you guys like think about the Seahawks move so far? Let's talk some football. Do you guys like the offseason moves? Everything they're doing? Do you like getting rid of the safety tandem of Diggs and Jamal Adams? And do you guys like the direction that they're going so far, re-signing Noah Fant? So many moves made by the Seahawks. How do you feel about the linebacking core? Who did I go first? D, I'm going to let you go first this time, Smitty.
Yeah, man. I mean, if this feels like a typical offseason for the Hawks where we don't make a big free agency splash, we're kind of, our spending philosophy kind of remain the same, prioritize retention and take very few risks on the open market, which historically has driven me crazy as a fan because you just want to see, you know what I'm saying, your team go out, man, and just make a little noise in free agency. So that's annoying, but I mean, what you're basically saying is that your drafting is going to be good enough to make you a contender. No pressure, Snyder and Mr. McDonald. But we certainly need an influx, bro, I think, of young talent in this draft to be able to raise our ceiling. I think we needed to get rid of some of the old heads. And the reality is, they were cap casualties. So what I'm hoping is that McDonald can maximize the talent of some of these young kids in the same way that we watched him do with Baltimore. But based on our cap space, I thought we did a solid job kind of spreading the peanut butter, you know what I'm saying, to try to fill some key holes. So the only move I had strong feelings about was the re-signing of Darryl Taylor, the one trick pony who can't set the edge if you gave him a weed eater, man. Like, he disappears for long stretches, gets garbage sacks, inflates his stats, and looks like, you know what I'm saying, he's the guy. So I like the new dudes that are going to be able to kind of cover. I liked kind of the Fant signing. I like the D-line pickup. We needed kind of a fat boy in the middle who can't be thrown around. I don't even think we had anybody on our D-line.
Uh-oh. think we lost him. It's that AOL again, man. AOL.
This is lying.
Yeah, right.
Dial-up. Kev, what do you think? Talk to us about the Hawks.
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm on board with most of that. I mean, I like pretty much everything that's happened. I mean, I thought it was important to clear everything out. Cap wise, we were spending way too much money on guys that weren't producing. I mean, when you have a salary cap and you spending a lot on your budget, you got to get a lot out of those guys. Like, you look at, some of the good teams, you look at, the Chiefs are a bad example because they got Mahomes, but like if you paying Kelsey big money, if you paying Mahomes big money, if you paying Chris Jones big money, they playing big. Like that's what you're getting. Like we're not getting that out of our biggest cap hits by Jamal and Quandre and all that. So I think it was important to kind of reset that a little bit. So I like doing that. And then, I mean, in terms of the no big signings, I mean, with getting Mike on board, the new coach, I think it's important to kind of establish where he's at, what his defense looks like, what the guys on the team currently have, where we are. Like to sign some big guys who might not fit the long-term thing. I think he kind of wants to get in and see where we are. That's why you kind of see a lot of one-year deals, like both the linebackers. The safeties are all on short-term deals now. Like there's a lot of flexibility depending on what happens in this draft and how the year goes and who excels in the system to kind of make moves next year. And there's a lot of cap availability, depending on what happens with Geno and, some Draymond, et cetera, that can leave the cap pretty easily next year and have some big numbers available depending on what we want to go after next year. So I think it leaves a lot of flexibility, man.
Yeah. So then considering what you just said, do you think, I know it's early, we haven't been through the draft, but do you think of us as a potential playoff team next year or no?
I mean, sure. I mean, that's a big in that way to phrase it. I think potential is a pretty loaded word because sure, it's the NFL, man. Like Houston Texans, did they have potential to, you know what I'm saying, win a playoff game last year? But it's all going to kind of depend on how it comes together. Like Grubb hasn't been offensive coordinator in the NFL before. Who knows if he's going to excel or not? McDonald's in his first year in Baltimore, as he was transitioning his defense, they didn't really excel, until a year later. So how fast does that happen? How fast do our players, take to that system? You got San Francisco in your division. The Rams are looking good. Who knows what the Cardinals do in this draft? So, I mean, do they have the potential? Of course. Like they have a lot of good players. If Max is good and he can elevate that D from 32nd, 30th, you know what I'm saying, to like mid 15th, and your offense can be top 10-ish. If Grubb can be good with those weapons, then you can make the playoff, but that stuff's got to come together. I think another thing that, people talk about the offseason and don't necessarily think about a lot is, when they get to the professional level, people always think about coaching with like Shanahan and scheme or McVay and scheme or things like that. Like it's less so that like the coaching aspect, right? Like I think a big thing about McDonald that I always talked about last year before he became a Seahawk that I liked about with Baltimore was it seemed like he got the best out of a lot of those dudes. Like Clowney had one of his best years ever. Van Noy, like all those dudes excelled. Geno Stone got way better out of a seventh round pick. And so like, a coach's job is to coach and get the most out of his players. Just because people become pros doesn't mean they can't get better anymore from coaching. And so that's something I think could be a valuable asset to this team that we can't predict right now because we don't know how that's going to take. But like, if he can get more out of who we have, then yeah, we can make the playoffs.
Man, this guy's got me excited, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Hold on. So I've been knowing Kevin since I was in like 3rd or 4th grade. Listen, this guy is the biggest Seahawks fan walking the streets of Seattle, Washington right now.
You know,
Is he correct in saying that there's a chance? Of course, this is professional sports. It's the NFL. Anything can happen. He brought up a prime example with the Houston Texans. But if you ask me, no. Okay, that is not the goal. That's not my expectation for Coach McDonald right now. He's got to get in there, assess what he has, and build this thing up, right? There's still going to be residue from the last regime that needs to be cleaned out. This is deep cleaning that we have to do. We have to get guys in here who want to. Do you guys remember the Pittsburgh Steelers game?
Yes.
When the Seahawks
don't do it.
Yeah. No,
Don't
I'm
do it.
No, I'm going there. I'm doing it. Can I talk my ish? Please. Listen. Game on the line at the crib to go to the playoffs, and we gave up Lord knows how many yards to 2 running backs who couldn't run the ball all season. Okay. We've got to clean all that up, right? And so the McDonald is the perfect coach for what is needed. Now, will he fall short? Who knows? You know what I'm saying? But he's the perfect coach. I would have took out Jamal Adams too. I would have took out all those safeties. Not that they weren't productive players, but like Kevin said perfectly, they weren't matching the amount of money. Okay. And so we need a blank canvas, or as much of a blank canvas as we can get, so we can build this thing up top to bottom. The expectation should not be playoffs, Seahawk fans. It should be improvement. It should be, are we competing? Are we fighting? Are we stopping the run now? Can we run the ball now? Okay. What does that look like? Can we get Woolen back? We lost him. He was a prime prospect, and then I don't know what happened to him. If we got Woolen now, and then we got Kevin's boy Spoon on the other side, now we might be cooking with grease. That's what we got to do. Let's see what we do in this draft, and let's put this thing together, and then see where we're at 2-3 years from now. Next year is not about making the playoff. Deep cleaning, fellas.
I would like to point out that I never said my expectation was to make the playoffs. He asked me if we had the potential to make the playoffs. I did not say I expect or would be disappointed in McDonald and call it an unsuccessful season if we did not make the playoffs. Just want to be clear.
Kevin, I want to apologize to you, Kevin. That was primarily directed at Doomy for setting you up for that failure. Right? I know what you were trying to say, but he got excited.
Hey man, people like excitement.
No.
The phrasing of the question is true because we do have the potential, but it's true that might not be the expectation. But
my job is to ask questions, okay? And if you guys, I actually agree with everything Kev said and everything you said, Randy. I have no problem with anything either of you guys said. I think the deep cleaning is it. I love that. I love offensively that we're a couple pieces away. I mean, if Walker and Charbonnet are playing really well, I love DK. I'm really hopeful that Grubbs can get something
Gino!
at DK that we haven't seen. Huh?
Gino!
Listen.
I didn't hear Gino. I didn't hear that come out of his mouth.
I want to see Gino play well. I'm hopeful we can get something out of him. I'm excited about Jackson Smith-Jigba, him turning the page in the corner. Tyler Lockett coming back. I'm also excited about all of the one-year deals. Because of those one-year deals, I know we can get off of everybody next year. We should have a slew of money next year. Tyler Lockett, money gone. See you later. Thanks for your service, sir. Geno Smith, man, appreciate you, brother. Thanks for your service, sir. You know what I mean? Like, and if these linebackers don't pan out, thank you for your service, young men. We'll see you later. We are ready to reload next year. So we get to bring out a team, see what happens, assess what we got, and at the set, add some good pieces this year. But I want to ask you guys something. A while back, we signed Sam Howell, right? So we moved back from the 3rd round to the 4th round to sign Sam Howell. My question to the panelists is really, are you guys okay if the Seahawks were to draft at quarterback this year, knowing that they already moved back from the 3rd to the 4th, right? And they have Geno and they have Sam Howell. Would you be okay if they drafted a quarterback this year? Smitty, go ahead. We hadn't heard from you in a minute.
Oh, yeah. I think looking at kind of the NIL and the whole pandemic year, I was listening to John Lynch earlier, and he was talking about how there's 83 guys that they gave a draft grade to from the fall who literally have returned to school. So what is being anticipated is that next year's draft, not this year's draft, is going to be loaded, So I feel like with the few pieces that we have, and if you've already signed Sam Howell, and the fact that what oftentimes isn't talked about, like 50% of quarterbacks drafted are busts. Let that sink in. I mean, talk about a real roll of the dice. So unless you feel like you got a guy who's like a sure thing, I'm like, I don't know that we waste a pick on, on a QB this year, man. I would kind of be like, if we went and got somebody. So Geno's a holdover. It'd be nice to have somebody, though, so that they could be under the tutelage, because Geno certainly is not the long-term answer. So that puts you out another year. So I wouldn't be mad at it. You know what I'm saying? I just feel like, we could wait for the next round.
Let me modify the question a little bit. Let's talk specifics, right? It's pick 16, right? Michael Penix is on the board. Okay. Are we taking Michael Penix, knowing that we don't have a 2nd-round pick and we already got Sam Howell, we don't pick again to the 3rd round? Or are we taking another position? I'm asking our two guests. I already know what Doomy thinks. No. Or are we taking a different position at 16, or do we want to move back and get more assets, more draft assets? What would you guys do if you guys were in the GM seats?
I'm worried about the ink if the card
runs. Tee us up, Kev.
I said,
Kev, what you got?
I said, I'd be worried that the ink flew off, that I ran up the card up so fast. Yes, I would take Michael Penix at 16.
Okay.
Smitty.
Yeah. I'm trading back, man, just to get myself more shots. I really love Michael Penix's game. I got to be honest, there's something about just like the way he moves that just reminds me of kind of like an older guy, man, like this. So he just seems a little frail, man. He just looks like one of the homies, man, after a nice hoop run, man. And he's got the Ben Gay on his, on his knee. So I would trade back, man. Honestly, I think that's our best bet. And then being able to kind of take more shots at what we want. It just seems like, man, we'd really be risking it all, man. Way too early, just all on Michael Penix.
So the 4.4 speed didn't change your mind, huh? That was you.
Nah, man. Did you peep it? It was a real stiff 4.4 too. Like, hey, he looks like me right now. I'm not playing defense, so there's no lateral movement. Once you go to the cup, it's yours. All you got to do is go to the cup, bro. There's no defensive slides here, man.
For the sake of love, Green, for the sake of our watchers and listeners, what would you do? Number 16 pick, Seattle Seahawks. Penix is on the board. What would you do?
To me, I brought in this defensive mastermind, right? The first thing I'm doing is I'm moving back and I'm trying to get assets and picks, and I'm letting him plug all the holes that are on this Seahawks defense. You're not going to be able to make strides, in my opinion, until you address the trenches and that you get this defense together. As much as I do like Michael Penix and I'm intrigued by his prospect, I'm not sold to the point where I'm just not picking again to the 3rd round with this kid. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think the bigger needs are to get people to 1st round talents that could play on the defensive side of the football. And that's what I would try to do. I need picks. I need to get young people on good contracts to fill out this roster. I think Geno is good enough to where he could hold us down this year. And then if Sam Howell can pop, or we get a quarterback next year, that's the route I'd go.
That's what's up. I'm with Kev. Give me the ink. Where do I sign? Get me Michael Penix and get him in the building as fast as you can possibly get him. My rationale behind the whole thing is you are correct. I don't disagree with anything you said, Randy. I think we need to fill out the defense. We need a quarterback too. And if I have the opportunity to have one, Michael Penix to me, without the knee injuries or the knee question marks, is probably, I would say, I would probably put him as the third best quarterback in this draft, right? Or arguable if he didn't have that injury word around him. And so to me, if I have an opportunity to get a guy that I think is my guy, his arm arrogance and arm talent is unmatched. I haven't seen a guy throw like that in a long time. And so I got a chance to get him with these weapons. I'm going to bring it in, let him sit for a year behind Geno. If he happens to pass Geno, that's fine. And then to your point, Randy, I am going to build out the offense. I'm going to get what I can this year. And then next year, I'm going to play the draft, knowing I've got a quarterback on a rookie deal. Now I can cut Geno. I got a quarterback on a rookie deal. Geno's $30 million goes off the books. I can play free agency wild, so I can make a lot more splashes and play the draft. My challenge was pushing quarterback down the road. Every other position, I feel like you can kick down the road. But when you feel like you have the quarterback in your face, and the hypothetical you gave me was Penix is there at 16. So if he's there, every other position I think I could get next year. I can get other years. You can figure out how to get a D tackle. You can get D tackles in free agency. You can get everything in free agency. What you very rarely can get is quarterbacks. And if you do, you're paying way top dollar. And so to me, it's pretty proven at this point. The way to build it out is with a rookie quarterback. I have an opportunity to hit the reset button with this offense. I just picture Penix throwing the ball to Jackson Smith-Jigba and DK and Noah Fant. Yeah, I like my chances, man. And I got his old coordinator. Yeah, sign me up. Sign me up.
The boy can spin it. He can spin it. There is no question about that. But can we talk about the fact that the interior of this O-line is really problematic? So it's like you go get him, but now you've also created even greater risk for Geno, who we know needs all the protection he can get.
Yeah,
I feel like Geno made his mind up in the huddle where he's going with it.
If we're all in agreement that this is not a one-year fix, then you're not going to fix all the things at the same time. And if you get a chance to get somebody with elite traits, which is what we're saying Penix has, and he's falling because maybe injury concerns, etc., at 16, which, like Lamar fell to the end because certain things people didn't like about him. Mahomes fell to 10 because certain things or whatever. Like sometimes people fall who have elite traits for some strange reason. And if you could take advantage of that and get that in the building on the rookie contract, all that stuff, like, yeah, sure, maybe the offensive line isn't perfect right now, but guards can be had in the third round frequently. Guards can be had in the fourth round frequently. I'm not saying they'll like solve all the problems this year or anything like that, but like you getting him in the building, Geno's playing this year. You have all your picks then next year. You have free agency next year with a lot more money if you want to go sign a big guard, a big center or something like that, if that's what you need when Penix starts next year, etc. And you get, again, if we're hoping that McDonald's specialty is getting the most out of players like Clowney, etc., like I said, and if he can turn Mafe and, we have Leonard Williams now and Derek Hall into something, etc., maybe he won't. We don't know. But if that's the thing, quarterback is the hardest thing to find if you can get somebody who can be in the upper tier. And if you can't, I agree.
Only thing I would add to it, and then you guys can take it as well. Only thing I would add to it is I'm not looking for Geno to start. So the risk, I'm not looking for Penix to come start. So the risk of like, well, you got Penix, but there's no guard. I'm like, hey, Geno, man, you went out there with that last year, play with it again, right? We're going to have a hole somewhere. But I think I would still go Penix because I'm not looking for you to start this year. By the time Penix is looking to be my starter, the guard position will be resolved. Whether it's free agency or through the draft next year, I'll be able to. But I'm looking at it as Penix is not my starter this year. He's coming in to sit, and next year he's going to be my starter. That's the plan.
I hear you guys, and I actually hope it happens because I would love to see it, right? I'm interested in it. I would say, Kevin, you gave two great examples, but I felt like Baltimore Ravens were in a great situation to where they could take that. They didn't have to fill a ton of holes, and so did Kansas City. I worry about Penix for a couple reasons. The most important is that he's already had an injury history, right? And so I don't want to be building it as he's starting to start, because you're not going to bring in anything of significance as far as the trenches this year, because you're not picking to the 3rd or 4th round. And Snyder hasn't had great history or success drafting in the trenches, right? And so what I would prefer to do is address those first and then plug in the quarterback so we could start the clock right away, versus sitting on him and the clock actually starts a year or 2 from now, and then you got to really hit the ground running. That's just my thought, but I think either could work. But I just think obviously there's challenges either way because of the hole that the Seahawks are in as far as overall talent.
Yeah.
Penix wins the press conference, man. Going and getting some linemen is what's going to win us some games, brothers.
Right.
That's how I feel.
Yeah.
And we talked though about Draze, about how this particular draft is seen as a very weak draft though for safeties and linebackers. Yeah. So even though we got these dudes on a 1-year deal, you know what I'm saying? We're still in an interesting position, but we will have more money on the books, to your point, for free agency. But that's just an interesting point.
They're saying some linebackers may not go until the late 2nd and possibly 3rd round, right? Yeah. You might not even see a linebacker go. So it's nothing there that we can get. And then trench-wise, it's easy to talk about us, but you got Leonard Williams at D-tackle. You got Reed next to him. You got Mafe. We put a lot. You got Hall. We put a lot of time, and you got Nwosu coming back. We put a lot of time into that. At this point, I got to trust that this coach is able to get the most out of guys. Our money on defense is all on that defensive line. Right. Yeah. So we're spending money on the D line as of right now. It's not that I don't want an offensive line. I can only get one of 2 things. My other thing on quarterback is I think too easily we say, well, next year I'll go get it. And I'm like, yeah, but if you're picking next year, okay. Most drafts to get a really good quarterback, let's assume next year we're picking at 16 again. Right? It's just a fair assumption, right? Let's say we're even killed with this offense. It's decent enough. Say we miss the playoffs, we're right at 16 again. Do you know how hard it is to get up if there's not as many quarterbacks? And they've been forecasting this quarterback draft for years. Next year's quarterback draft is not supposed to be as good as this one. Do you know what it's going to cost to get up to 2 or 3? Because you're going to have to get up there. We're talking about him falling to 16. A quarterback as good as Penix falling to 16. Okay, so you wait till next year. Now you've got to get all the way up to 1, 2, or 3 to get the guy that you want. We saw last year, we were at 5 and they were gone. Right? By the time 5 came, everybody was gone. Anthony Richardson was gone. From the Texans was gone. Everybody was gone. So I'm simply saying it's easy to say I'll get my quarterback next year. I go house way. If my quarterback falls to me now, I'm taking him, because next year, if I'm at 16, do you know what it costs to go from 16 to 1 or 3 up there? Man, you're going to be trading 3 first-round picks or something, you know.
It costs seasons, man. Seasons.
Yeah. So I'm like, if a guy is falling to me, I'm taking him, not because that's what I want to do. I can always fix my O-line, and to Kevin's point, I'm not trying to be a jerk, but offensive guards pan in the 3rd round every year at a really solid rate. That's all I'm saying. Not tackles, but guards, I'm going, hey, man, 3rd round, John, do your work. And if not, get one next year. That's it. I'm in the 1st round, here's what I'm saying. If I'm at 16 next year, let's say I have Penix already on my roster. Next year, I need a guard. I'm certain at 16 I can get a guard.
Yeah, we can find an Affetti.
Yes, but what you can't find at 16 necessarily is a quarterback.
The only thing I'll challenge to that is I think we should be careful using the word fall to us. There's a reason why Penix will probably be there at 16. There's a reason why there's speculation he won't go into the 2nd round. The reason why I'm hesitant is because this kid is not a can't miss prospect. If you're big on him, that is fine, right? But when you say fall, that's like saying Jaden Daniels or somebody failed. You know what I'm saying? Like, we look back now, Lamar Jackson looks good, but there was a lot of people who were they didn't know if that was going to be the right pick to make, you know. And so let's just be careful of saying that he's falling, because at 16, he could still, if we don't pick him, he might not go till later on.
Okay. Well, I'll say this. I don't disagree with you in theory, right? Because I don't think he is not a can't miss prospect. He's not. I'm not saying that. I don't feel about him the way I feel about Caleb. Okay, that's his can't miss. Everyone else, including Jaden Daniels, could miss to me. Caleb is the guy.
But we would agree there's levels though, because I agree, but there's still levels in that. There's tiers of, yeah, he's not a can't miss, but he's still a higher tier than
would
this
it
particular
shock you?
player.
Would it shock you if Penix was better than Jaden Daniels? Would you be shocked?
Shocked isn't a good word. I wouldn't bet on it. I say that.
I wouldn't bet either way. To me, Jaden Daniels has question marks. They both had elite receivers, so that's a question mark on both of them. I don't care what you say. They both had elite receivers. Jaden Daniels is definitely frail, and he had one good season, man. One.
He did.
When he went there with elite receivers, he's going to get to the NFL.
Joe Burrow had one good season too. Joe Burrow had one good season too. Joe Burrow.
I'm not arguing that. I'm not fighting Joe Burrow.
And speaking of Joe Burrow,
Joe Burrow won the national championship.
He did.
Speaking of Joe Burrow,
no question. Speaking of Joe Burrow, no one's had more big plays in college football than Joe Burrow, except Jaden Daniels. He's a big play guy. He throws a great deep ball. He doesn't spin it the way Michael Penix does, but he's really good throwing the ball downfield. He's extremely athletic. Like, I would bet that he's going to be better than Michael Penix.
I'm not against him. Jaden Daniels should be a commander, and me and him will be really good friends soon. Okay, so I have no problem with him. My last question to you guys, and I thank you guys for joining us, is aside from what we just said of Penix falling to 16, if you are the virtual GM, what would you do, and what do you want the Seahawks to do? So we're not talking. Doesn't matter if Penix is there or not there. What do you want to see the Seahawks do? Kev, I'm going to start with you this year.
In the draft?
In the draft, excuse me.
Yeah, so I'll just assume Penix is not there because we exhausted that a bit. Because typically my overall philosophy, and Randy knows this, like, it wouldn't be to take the quarterback in general, because I agree with Randy's point to build everything up and then drop him in for a full rookie contract, all that stuff. I choose Penix differently just because I think he has some elite traits. So the fall thing, like Randy was talking about, I think is kind of a case in this, it's potential. But so I want, if it's not Penix, I want to pick at 16. I don't want to trade down because I want as close to a blue chip player as possible. I don't think we have enough blue chip players. And so, like, throwing in a bunch of trying to get LJ Collar and Marquise Blair and like 4 of those guys onto the team. Like, I want to take, especially in a year with, like, if 6 quarterbacks go in the top 13 and 3 wide receivers go in the top 10, that's 9 players before the first defender even goes, before the first offensive lineman even, well, no, you're not before, but you know what I mean? In that range, like, you know, if you're going like a defender, you're picking top 10 basically. Like, Jared Verse would probably be taken over Tyree Wilson last year, who went 7, right? Like, so I want, if it's not him, I want a trench blue chip player, the best player at 16, preferably even though we have offensive line needs and everybody says Troy Fautana, who I'd be thrilled about. I won't complain at all. My favorite would be Byron Murphy, because I want to create an elite unit on our team, and nothing scares elite quarterbacks who dominate our league like elite defensive lines. Yeah. So my first choice outside of Penix, because the quarterback can change everything, would be like Byron Murphy and then Jared Verse possibly. But I want to make our defensive line under our new coach like a problem. And Darrell Taylor's cap hit's like $15K, so he can go ahead and hit the books after this pick is made. So like he can find a new team before the draft's over.
Smitty, what's up with you? What's your thoughts?
Yeah, man. I feel that. I think I wouldn't mind seeing us getting either. And I know we already have a couple of guys who we feel like can kind of fill this bill. I mean, we got Nwosu coming back, but I'm like, man, if we can get an elite rusher or an elite D tackle, somebody to kind of beef up this defense and give McDonald just some pieces and some toys to play with. I think that would be, most ideal. I agree. I'm kind of exhausted with what I feel like we do a lot of thrift shopping. You know what I'm saying? Seahawks do a lot of thrift shopping, man. We're heavy on the Goodwill and the Value Village. I'm like, can we just, like Kev saying, can we just pull up on Nordstrom's, man? Every now and then and just, you know what I'm saying, buy something really nice. So, yeah, man. And there's going to be some guys sitting there. So I wouldn't mind if we pull that. Obviously, we just talked about kind of this being a weak draft for the linebackers and safeties. Those are holes that in another year we're going to have to solve for. So, and then offensively, we got to talk about, Lockett's getting long in the tooth.
Yeah.
We still got Meathead DK, man, he's solid. I'm not mad at him. I don't want to lose him. I just need him to chill with the roid rage. You know what I'm saying? That he'd be man. If he could get the roid rage under control, man, you know what I'm saying? I'm happy. But I know there's also a lot of receivers. That's why I'm kind of going there, like, so I say we go ahead, man, and pick us up a couple of nice defensive players. Somebody at 16. Let's go get a defensive goon, man.
Yeah. You want me to go Green or you?
Yeah, go ahead. Do your thing.
I'm kind of a if this then that, right? Like the draft is always that because you don't know what's gonna be there. So let me be frank. I would not be opposed to us moving up to go get a quarterback. I believe in it that much, right? And it's similar to what you guys say about a goon or getting a guy. If we believe there's a guy, go get him, right? Just don't let that guy be McCarthy. That's all. I pray. Do not let it be McCarthy. But I personally just refuse to believe. But I wouldn't be opposed to that. I would really like that because I think we have to resolve the quarterback. That to me is our number one issue, bigger than anything else. So that's one I would resolve. But if we can't do that, and we probably won't be able to, it would cost too much to get into that, then I'm not opposed to what you guys say about picking a player. I love all of these options. None of them are bad. Move up, get a quarterback. One falls to us, grab one. But now let me be clear. If one falls to us, Michael Penix is the last one. If it's not Drake May, Daniels, or Penix, I don't want McCarthy. I don't want Bo Nix. Don't even start with none of those guys. Holla. Get me my D tackle. I would love the D tackle, but my move I would do if I don't get a quarterback, then I'm dropping back. I am going to take more bites at the apple. This is a very deep draft at a lot of positions, and I'm going, man, you know what? Us not having a second-round pick is really screwing us. And if I could drop back, still get a good player, and stay in the first round, and accumulate a second-round pick, I just like having more bites at the apple. I do believe I am risking not getting a goon. I think you guys are right. But I also think, to Kev's point, so much is weird in this draft in terms of how many quarterbacks and receivers are going. And we're not in the receiver market heavy right now. I think I still might be able to get one of the really good guys at the end of the first round, or especially if I don't have, maybe if I'm dropping back from 16 to 23, right? So I can still get somebody who falls, but accumulate a second round pick. I think we need it. It's a deep draft. So my primary move, assuming the quarterback's not going to be there, because I don't think Penix or any of the other guys are going to be there at 16, I would like us to drop back, accumulate a pick. What about you, Green?
Well said, brother. For me, there's certain people who I really like. How you say his name? Fatnu out of UW. I highly doubt he'll still be there, right? But I really believe in this draft, and I think there's going to be a lot of surprises because I think there are going to be a lot of wide receivers that go. I think a nice at least 4 quarterbacks are going to go before the Seahawks pick. And so I think there's an outside chance. But if he's not there, then I'm moving back, right? Because I still feel I could get a guy like Latham at Alabama, or I want an offensive lineman, right? I want one of those guys, and I feel like I could get those guys later in the first round, and then get assets. Maybe somebody wants to come up and get Bo Nix. Maybe somebody wants to come up and get Michael Penix. And I know that would be very, very tough and probably impossible for us to trade out of the pick that would be Michael Penix, and we would have to live with that for the rest of our lives. I would never want to put Kevin through that. But that's what I would be open to, because I feel like I want to get as many assets as possible. And I think there are great guys that are going to be available in the second round. And like you said, Draze, I really think the fact that the Seahawks don't, if they end up going through this draft and not having a second round pick, I think that would be a failure in itself, because I think there's going to be guys with first round grades in the second round that could really help the Seahawks areas that are flawed. And so that will be my goal. I will be on the war room with you guys being like, get me more picks. Get me more picks. You know, there's guys that I like. And so that's how I'll go about it. But I want to focus on the trenches.
It's John Snyder. Who are we fooling? We're trading back, man.
We're trading back. We are trading back. We're trading back. Hey, fellas, we want to say thank you guys for joining us, man.
Yes.
This has been dope. We will definitely have you guys back, maybe post draft, man, sometime, so we can tear it to shreds with either excitement or being pissed. You know what? This is gonna expose what was Pete Carroll and what was John. We're gonna really start to see philosophies. You know what I mean? So it'll be interesting to be able to see. Was Rashad Penny you, man? Well, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like, there are guys that you just like. What was the DN that we drafted some years ago, man? Who's a bum? He washed out, man.
LJ Collier.
Oh God, who was that, man? Even when we got him, I was like, who's he? Who's this guy? I'm calling friends like, yo, who's got the scouting report on him? They're like, I don't know.
Nobody ever found out either.
Yeah. He was weak.
Yeah, he was bum.
Nah, they're going to get busy.
We appreciate y'all, man. Peace and love. Thank you very much.
Man, for sure.
Anytime.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.
Sure.
Till next time, fellas. All right, my guy. That was good. That was good.
Yeah,
we got about, I'm gonna give us about 13 minutes. We're gonna get this next segment done in 13 minutes and be done.
Let's do it.
We're gonna talk draft. It is draft week, my guy.
Yeah.
It is draft week.
Do you smell that? Do you smell that? It's draft season, baby. That excitement in the air, man. That excitement in the air, man. It's a real thing, man.
Oh, it's Christmas. It's Christmas in April. Yes. Tell me what you're excited about, man. We're just gonna talk, man. Let's talk draft.
Hey,
what are you excited about?
Don't mind if I do, man. I'm excited, Draze. We've talked about this ad nauseum, man. I'm really big on this draft. Now, like some of our guests have said earlier in the show, and you've attested to this too with our conversations, it doesn't have everything. It doesn't have everything. But certain things, man, it really has it. You know what I'm saying? And so when I look at the quarterback position, I look at the wide receiver position, and I look at the offensive line position.
Mm-hmm.
If you're in need of those positions, you should be licking your chops, because you should have been studying since November on getting your board together and really dissecting how you're going to get all these guys into your organization, because I think we're going to look up and be very impressed by the talent at those three positions specifically. Yeah. And how well they transition into the NFL.
So then let's do this, because I think we both agree with that. Like, it's a safety. It's weak at safety. It's weak at linebacker. You're not going to get a D tackle like Jalen Carter. There's not a guy like that. No. There's not a Will Anderson. There are D linemen, though. No. There's not a Will Anderson, right?
No,
but my question to you then would be, like, let's rank the quarterbacks. Who do you got? Give me of the of the quarterbacks that we got. We got Michael Penix.
Yeah.
We got Rattler.
Yeah.
We got Bo Nix. We got Drake May, Jaden Daniels, and of course, King Caleb.
Yes. And
tell me what. Go ahead.
Yeah, so number one, I would have Caleb Williams for sure. I think this kid checks all the boxes, right? I was a little hesitant on what his personality might be, what his makeup might be. Can he galvanize the team? But a lot of things that he's done, I actually respect it. I love the fact that his parents are heavily into his life. His father's heavy into his life, and they've been building him up to be the number one pick since he was about 10, 11 years old. I read that. And so I was very impressed. So this moment is not too big for him. Like, he's going on vacations during his draft process. Like he's dialed in. I also saw something where he was upset. He came into Oklahoma. Spencer Rattler, who you know that I love, he came into Oklahoma with a quarterback in front of him who was a projected first-round draft pick. And he went there anyway and was like, I'm going to just beat this guy out. And he felt that he beat him out in spring camp. But coach told him, no, I'm still going to go with Spencer Rattler. He's a projected first-round pick. Your time's coming. And he really had to deal with that. He didn't like it. But he stayed ready. He stayed in the room. And he stayed dialed in. What happens? They're playing Texas, big rivalry games. Rattler goes down. This kid comes in and turns the place out. It's stuff like that I love, right? And so he's number one. Jaden Daniels, I think he just has too much upside to pass on. You're absolutely right that he had one great season, but sometimes that's all it takes, man. These guys are still kids. So
give me one. Let's go back and forth. It'll be easier. So you go
Yes,
one,
sir.
I go one. I'm with
Okay.
you. I got no changes on the Caleb thing. I want to add something to what you just said. What I love about all of these quarterbacks, the level of leadership. When I hear these guys talk, I heard an interview from Drake May, and I was like, oh, snap, he believes it. Like, if you ever look somebody in the eyes and be like, no, fam, he believes he's great. He's not he's not faking. And if you see Caleb, like, these boys, all of these guys are made of something that is really, really special. So we're in agreement. I got Caleb one, you got him one. What about you?
Jaden Daniels. I think he has too much upside to pass on. I know it's been 1 year where he just really jumped on not necessarily jumped on the scene. He was the number one recruit coming out. And he was solid at Arizona State. But Arizona State had a lot of stuff going wrong over there. Shout out to Herm Edwards. But he came over to LSU. He got it together, and he exploded. And he really showed the big play potential. And like I've told you in the past, I really think the NFL is adopting a lot of college schemes, and I think it's going to make it easier for these dual threat guys to translate and morph into the NFL game. And I love his skill set at the NFL level.
All right, number two, we got nothing different to say. Jaden Daniels is my number two. It's everything. It's the fact that he's nasty in the pocket, on the run. He's greased lightning fast. The arm strength, I love arm strength. And he's an amazing leader. I found myself like going, oh, okay. So you're a leader of men. I love this. I love this. So Jaden, I don't want to take time saying what you have already said. Jaden Daniels is my number two. Number three.
Okay. Number three, I still have Drake May. I think a lot to do about nothing when people are picking this kid apart. I would agree, though, that he's probably not ready to step in right away and play. But I can remember that Josh Allen was actually stepping in right away, and he overthrew guys by 20 yards in his rookie season. And then look at him now. You know what I'm saying? And so one thing that I've learned with some of these guys is if they have elite traits like Kevin was talking about, you know what I'm saying? You don't want to pass up on them just because you don't think they're ready to go right away. You know what I'm saying? If you could wait and build that person up, I think it's worth it. And I think Drake May shown enough to me to still be ranked third in a heavy quarterback group.
My number three, ladies and gentlemen, is one Michael Penix, baby.
Ooh, okay.
He's number three. You know what? At some point in this process, I asked myself, why would I have him below Drake May? Right? Like, Michael Penix is one of the best throwers of the football I've ever seen throw it in college. He throws the ball. I remember watching games the first year we got him, and I remember him throwing a pass, and I was like, man, that's a bad pass, bro. What's he doing? You know what I mean? And then he threw another one. I was like, hey, man, I don't like that pass. And then after a while, I was like, wait, did he mean to do that? You know, throwing the ball right over the DB's shoulder as he's turning. I'm like, who can do? And it was like, oh, you mean you have a laser like that?
Yeah.
Like you're fitting the ball in places that I'm like, yo, I called it arm arrogance. I called my friends. I was like, yo, his arm arrogance is something different. It's passes that are bad passes, but they're actually good passes. But he can get it there because he's got arm arrogance. And so I just trust that. I'm trusting that. If he didn't have that injury history, where would I have him? I'd have him right here, right around 3. So I was like, you know what? I'm going, forget about the injury. If you're drafting him, you got to trust he's going to stay healthy. So that's it. Michael Penix, I got him at number 3 because he can. I know what translates. Throwing the football the way he throws it translates in football. You know what I mean? Now he got to stay upright, but that's what translates. What about 4?
Number 4 for me is pretty simple, man. It's J.J. McCarthy. It's very tough, though, between Penix and McCarthy. One thing that I do like about McCarthy is how young he is compared to these other prospects. So he's still very green, in my opinion. I like his leadership style. Like you said, all these guys have great leadership qualities. The fact that he was capable to have more of a role but never complained and just went out there and just played winning football. And when his number was called, he would normally make the right play, make the right pass. He's mobile. And then Harbaugh is a QB whisperer, and he loves this guy. And even before they won the national championship, he touted this guy over and over and over again. Harbaugh tends to know what he's talking about. It's enough for me. I was impressed by how he performed against UW in the 3rd and 4th quarter. So I have McCarthy as my 4th.
Number 4 is Drake May. For all the reasons that you said, I think Drake May could end up being the best of all these guys, man, and it wouldn't shock me. That's how much the talent is undeniable. Just got to see him put it together. And with those other guys before him, I've seen them all put it together in certain ways that I just haven't seen with him. You can say it's because he didn't have the weapons. I don't know what the reason is. But the point is, I've seen the other guys do it. I didn't see you do it to that same level, so I went with those over comfort with that. But I cannot deny his arm strength, his speed. He's good outside of the pocket. I mean, and he looks like a quarterback. I mean, he looks like he was born to play quarterback. So Drake May's number 4 for me.
Okay. And then at 5, man, I'm going to go with Michael Penix for all the reasons you said. I mean, he throws a beautiful ball, and, he has a lot of promise. If things work out, if you can protect him, and you could put guys around him, I think he could really help out a lot of organizations. I won't say a lot, but enough organizations to where I'll have him 5th. I would like to see him throw the ball more efficiently over the middle. I was not thrilled by how he played against Michigan, which was a pro-style defense, and Harbaugh, who's a mind. But I think he's still young enough to where he will get better, he will learn, he will grow. And like you said, you can't teach how he throws the football.
Okay. After this, I got Bo Nix, right? Coming in right behind Drake May. I got Bo Nix. Bo Nix is a gamer to me. He's a gamer. He's big game Bo. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He just looks like he's a fighter. He's a scrapper. I wouldn't be surprised if he ended up being a really good quarterback because he's such a fighter, such a scrapper. And he could go to a really good situation. And if he does go to the right situation, being drafted later, that can make all the difference in the world. So
he's a point guard out there. So if you got the things around him, he'll get it to where it needs to go.
Yeah.
And
last but not least, who do you got?
So then mine would be Bo Nix. But I want to throw my 7th in there just because you know how I feel about him. I think Spencer Rattler is a guy who's very underrated in this draft. Again, I talked about the story where he was projected to be a 1st-round draft pick and then got injured and lost his job to Caleb Williams, which means he started in front of Caleb Williams at Oklahoma. I think the world of this kid. I think in the right situation, he'll be good. So Bo Nix / Spencer Rattler would be my 6, 7.
I don't know what I got after that. I'll go McCarthy before Rattler, but I don't know. I'm not a McCarthy fan.
I've noticed.
Yeah, I'm hard on that guy. I'm not a McCarthy fan. I haven't seen enough. I haven't seen everybody else. I've seen it. Even with Bo, I've seen it. With McCarthy, what I saw, I wasn't all that impressed about. I don't like his arm strength. They say it's got a cannon. I haven't seen it. What I've seen looks like he's struggling to throw the ball sometimes. When he's throwing across his body, sometimes it's like, why are you working so hard to get that 12 yards or 27 yards or whatever? But I'm not a big fan. I got to see a guy do it, and I didn't get a chance to see it. And so because they were handing the ball off so much, what do you want me to say? I don't trust Harbaugh, not because I don't trust him as an evaluator of talent. I'm just like, what else is he going to say, right? I mean, this is his guy. He's saying what he's supposed to say. It's a hell of a sale job. I'm not mad at him. I'm rooting for McCarthy. I just don't want him on my teams. And so those are my things. So I got one last thing as we close out here because we're at our time. Where do you got this quarterback draft class to end up? How good do you think it is collectively? So I got a couple of classes that I want to see if you think it's better than.
Got you.
So we're going to go to 2012. Russell Wilson, Andrew Luck, RG3, Kirk Cousins, Nick Foles, Ryan Tannehill.
That's tough.
I
will say not as good as that class.
Okay. What about 2020?
Yeah.
Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Tua Tagovailoa, Jalen Hurts, Jordan Love.
Yeah. I would say not as good as that class either.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It's tough.
Oh, that's it? Okay,
That's it. I just had those two classes. I wanted to see, I know you're high on this draft class, so I wanted to see, do you think it's better than those, right? Like,
yeah.
So you got it high. You don't think it's going to be elite necessarily.
Yeah, I will say this. I don't think any of those classes are off the table, but to expect it is a different story. Those guys have gone out, like Andrew Luck, man, was on his way to be one of the greatest ever. He just chose not to. RG3 was just due to injury. Russell Wilson, you know how I feel about him. Kirk Cousins, Tannehill, those guys are really good quarterbacks. Yeah. And then Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think they can compete with that, but that's still lofty expectations. So I'm not ruling them out, though. I will not rule this class out, but they got to go out there and do it.
Okay, so my last question to you then. I know you're a fan of this draft class, wide receivers, right?
Yeah.
Really deep at wide receivers. We got our guys up there, right? This is a loaded draft class. Where do you think this thing's going to stack up? Tell me how you feel about that, and then I'll pose my question about this draft, the wide receivers.
I honestly believe, and this isn't hyperbole, I truly believe the top 3 guys have Hall of Fame potential. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't say that often to where you have 3 guys, right? So you have 3 guys, in my opinion, who have potential to be Hall of Famers.
Okay.
Then you have the depth of Brian Thomas, Adonai Mitchell, Xavier Worthy, Xavier Legette, Layden McConkey, Keon Coleman, Ricky Purcell, Troy Franklin, Roman Wilson. That's just to name a few. Okay. This thing goes deep. The 2 Jalen's from UW. Like, this wide receiver group could be the greatest wide receiver draft of all time.
Oh, my God.
I said it. And like you said, bang your chest. Yeah, hey, where you going? I'm banging. You didn't see me bang my chest. I'm banging my chest.
It could be the greatest wide. Okay, that's it.
Could.
That's it.
I think it could. I think it could.
I'm going to my studies.
Yes.
I want to bring to you Exhibit A. Yes. Now, Randy Green, you told me this might be the greatest wide receiver group of all time.
Yes.
So I want to bring to you, and you tell me, is this group going to be better than? Let's go with 2021.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Jamar Chase.
Whew.
Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Yeah.
Devontae Smith.
Yeah.
Jalen Waddle.
Yeah.
Nico Collins. I'll even throw in some lowly Rashad Bateman's. Like,
Yeah.
is this draft class going to be better than that?
I'd say yes.
Oh, God. You're
I'd
not
say
sure.
yes.
He's not sure.
No, I feel. Hey, listen. You got me on the quarterbacks, man. I was a little shaky on the quarterbacks, but
Okay.
I really feel like these guys are different, and it's not just the top end talent, Draze. It's also the quality of depth. When you add that combination, that's where I get to where I say this stuff that I'm saying.
Fair enough. Let's go 2020.
Yes.
Okay.
Whew.
2020.
Yeah.
Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
CeeDee Lamb.
Oh.
T. Higgins. Brandon Ayuk. Michael Pittman. I mean, and then the depth guys, the Jerry Judys.
Yeah.
Donovan
I hear you.
Jones. I
I hear
mean,
you.
is this draft class going to be better than that? Stand on business. Come on, Green.
I think it could. You know what helps me? I wouldn't be shocked if these top 3 guys are top 10 wide receivers soon. Like soon.
Jesus, man.
I think they're that special. This Marvin Harrison Jr. guy, this Malik Neighbors guy, and this Adunze, he made your guy, Michael Penix, look brilliant.
Listen, I'm trying to see what kind of a ledge you got over there, because you're on a ledge, brother. You are on ledges. This could be the greatest receiving class of all time, and these 3 can be top 10 soon. I'm sorry, Prophet Green. How soon? Just so I can have you, just give me a year. 4 years?
No, that's not soon to me.
Oh.
When I look at the impact, you got to understand what we're dealing with here as far as potential in this Marvin Harrison Jr. kid, right?
No. You don't need to say anything about him.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
No discussion here. That is listen, and God made wide receiver.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Right?
Yes.
And so then you look at Malik Neighbors and Rome Odunze, who in any other draft, maybe outside of the Chase draft, would be the top wide receivers taken. You know what I'm saying? Like, these guys are only going second and third wide receivers off the board because they happen to be coming out the same year as Marvin Harrison Jr., right? And so when I look at, I can't think of a class that had 3 wide receivers that could be as good as I think these guys could be. And then the quality of depth, some of these other guys are going to hit too. And so it's just like, I mean, if you need wide receiver help, you should be licking your chops, man. Like, it's out here.
Listen, brother, all I can say is come Thursday, I am going to be like a kid in a candy store. I got food, drink. I'm going to be posted up. And you know I've been cleansing, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, your boys lost like 15 pounds. I'm cleansing.
Come on, man.
Thank you, sir.
Give it up for the guy, man.
Thank you.
That's real, bro.
Thank you.
Real.
So I'm breaking the cleanse for the draft. I planned it. I knew when we were ending.
Yeah.
So we got the draft coming up, man. It's going down, man. It's going down,
it, brother. Yes, sir.
Well, man, this has been another great episode of Can I Talk My Ish?
Yes, sir.
I want to send some shout outs to my wife, to my daughter, to all the homies back home in the 206. Peace and love from your boy Draze. Any shout outs, Green?
Now, everybody who's tuning in, we appreciate it, man. Keep checking us, man. We're going to keep bringing it. We're going to keep bringing it. We're going to have great guests. You guys be surprised who we're going to be able to get on here. And we're bringing in people who be talking they ish and know they ish.
Yeah.
Tap in.
Make sure you go follow us, both of us, on Twitter. Our handles are there right there, at Green Diggity, at Draze Experience. Follow us on Twitter. Keep rocking with us. We gone, y'all. Peace and love.